Welcome to today's Software AG webcast titled, The Future of HHS is Integrated. Today's webcast will be presented by Jackie Gumbach, founder and CEO of Captiva, and Bob Jeffcott, Principal Systems Engineer at Software AG Government Solutions. As we move through today's presentation, we invite and encourage you to submit any questions that you may have via the Q&A box, which is located on the bottom center of your webcast dashboard. We will address your questions at the end of today's program. In the event that we're not able to answer your question, your submission will be noted, and today's presenters will be back in touch with you as soon as possible. Today's presentation is being recorded. This program recording will be made available to you in an email that will be sent to you within approximately 24 hours. Additionally, this webcast recording will be posted to the Database and Natural playlist on the Software AG YouTube channel later today. It is now my pleasure to welcome Jackie Gumbach.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your time today. I know it is a busy season for all of us. Sure appreciate it. Today we wanted to start off with talking about achieving a true citizen-centric view, which we know can seem like a daunting task. Even though we've been at this for a while now in government in general, and particularly in health and human services, as we strive to deliver services to citizens in need in a more timely, efficient, and economical manner. And despite the notable advancements in technology and system modernization efforts, the variety of data we encounter is ever increasing. We have data within our government systems related to a variety of programs that we administer, Medicaid, SNAP, TANF, but we also have important data that is often outside our systems that's critical to achieving the citizen-centric view. And whether this data is within or outside our government systems, the fact of the matter is it's increasingly difficult to access. And it's not uncommon that we often find ourselves asking why. The primary problem is system complexity. And this complexity is due to a number of factors. The first, as we all are aware, is that we have siloed funding streams from the federal government, which in turn lead often to siloed systems. And those systems have often been developed at all different periods of time, which are lengthy efforts and significant investments. And that means that they're all different types of systems. We have mainframes, COTS software, client server systems, and now many are even in the cloud, something we didn't contemplate for 15, 20, 30 years ago when a lot of these systems were first built. So what does this all mean for our stakeholders that are trying to access this data within each of these systems? The workers whose mission it is to deliver timely services to those citizens in need, to the citizens who we're serving, who are trying to understand what benefits they're eligible for and when perhaps those benefits will be administered, administrators who are looking for the different ways to improve program outcomes, the providers who are on the front lines delivering the services to citizens, and of course, policymakers who are seeking information on ways to shape the future regulations. What we often find is there's processes, some are automated, but there's also many that are manual. And way too often, there are those that are redundant. And there's even more complexity on top of this. It's compounded by increasing volumes of data to the point that at times we feel like we're buried in data. The growing types of data, pictures and videos, for example. And those data that I spoke about earlier that's perhaps external to some of our systems, the social determinants of health, the factors and conditions that people are born, live, work in that shape their health and well-being, presenting an additional set of factors for us to consider and access. And last but certainly not least, the ever-increasing trend for modularity, which has first been required by CMS for new MMIS or Medicaid enterprise systems, with the goal of breaking down these large monolithic systems into discrete components, a trend that's growing and being adopted more and more by other HHS programs. And while this is a very laudable goal, it does increase the number of systems and number of components that hold data that the stakeholders we previously mentioned need access to. So with all this complexity, how is it possible to achieve integration? With that, we'd like to take a look at how some agencies across the country are tackling these challenges and share with you some observations that we've had from the field. First, we find that agencies who start with establishing an integration platform early are often most successful, as they're thinking not only about the systems, but about the data within those systems early on in their efforts. Establishing an integration platform can serve as a foundation for all your systems, be it your legacy systems that you're trying to wrangle data out of, or the future to-be systems that you're building and replacing and growing to. And you don't need to have the whole system modernization roadmap planned out in order to establish your integration platform. It can exist early and grow and evolve with you as you grow and evolve in your modernization effort over time. Start small. We also find that you don't have to eat the integration apple all in one bite. In fact, it would almost be impossible to do so given the complexity that we just discussed. But it is possible to have incremental successes that you can expand and grow over time. And we'll share some of those with you in a moment. Make use of your software investment. Many times we find there's significant investment in software and that not all of the capabilities are leveraged, which often results in duplicative software purchases or perhaps additional coding, hand coding that isn't necessary. So make sure you understand the full capabilities of your integration software investment so you can make the most of those. And then last but certainly not least, that mainframe, which isn't the first time I've mentioned it in this presentation, and it won't be the last. But we all thought those mainframes would be obsolete by now, and yet they exist all around us. But don't despair. Those systems can be leveraged in your integration environment. And later on, Bob will share how. And so now let's take a look at some specific use cases from some states around the country. Our success stories start in the Commonwealth of Virginia, where they've adopted an interagency data sharing to fight the opioid crisis. Tragically, every day in Pennsylvania, 10 citizens lose their lives to substance abuse. Governor Wolf made this crisis one of his top strategic priorities this year. And realizing that this crisis can't be met by one agency alone, 4 agencies came together to launch the Overdose Information Network, or ODIN, which is a central repository that tracks overdoses, drug administrations, and investigative drug information. It's used by police, public safety, and health professionals to track and share information related to opioid abuse. Law enforcement uses it to access information on overdoses, heroin seizures, and locations of opioid-related incidents, while healthcare professionals use it to support decisions as to where best to allocate resources. Bob, would you like to share with the audience some additional information on Pennsylvania?
Sure, thank you, Jackie. One of the reasons that Pennsylvania was so quickly able to respond to this and to provide this critical and key information was that the Pennsylvania JNET, the Justice Network, had already built an event-driven integration process. So it was a matter of extracting out that appropriate information in the appropriate format and delivering it to the appropriate agencies that they already had a previous relationship with. So this was something that they already had available information. They knew what it was, they knew where it was just a matter of getting it in the right people's hands. So they were able to do that very quickly and very easily.
Thanks, Bob. And a truly laudable effort in collaboration in the Commonwealth, given we all know how difficult it is at times to engage in data sharing between public safety and Department of Human Services or Department of Health organizations. We'll stay in Pennsylvania to have our second use case, which is focused on improving access to medical assistance. In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the Department of Corrections releases approximately 20,000 inmates annually. 10% of those individuals are eligible for medical assistance. However, the process was manual and time-consuming, taking weeks and up to months to process the eligibility for these former incarcerated individuals. So as Bob noted before, Pennsylvania has a justice network called JNET, which again was leveraged to exchange information between the Department of Corrections and the Department of Human Services to automate this process. So now when an inmate is released, with their consent, of course, relevant information is sent to Department of Human Services for eligibility determination. And in turn, when a new inmate is admitted into the Department of Corrections, relevant information is sent to the Department of Human Services in order to suspend benefits, which helps reduce potential fraud. Bob, would you like to add any additional details on this use case?
Sure. Again, one of the reasons that they were able to do this and to do it in a timely manner was that the Department of Human Services already had pre-built APIs that allowed external communication into their system, so to be able to create cases, to be able to provide information directly to them from external sources. So it was a simple, easy, single API that the Pennsylvania JNET and Department of Corrections were able to leverage. So it made a big impact. One simple API made a very large impact in the state.
Thanks, Bob. We'll now take a drive down the coast to Alabama, who also streamlined citizen access to benefits. And this scenario was in response to the Affordable Care Act, where, as we all likely recall, had very aggressive deadlines in place for states to meet. The Alabama Medicaid Agency established an integration platform that facilitated the exchange of data from their Medicaid system with 8 other systems, including the Federal Data Hub, the Federal Insurance Marketplace, a citizen portal, a worker portal, among others. And Alabama not only met the aggressive ACA deadline, but they were also recognized by CMS as an early success case for implementing a process that significantly improved the application enrollment process for citizens. Later on, Bob will share with us technically how they accomplished this, but for now, let's take a short hop over from Alabama to Mississippi. Mississippi Department of Human Services serves 1 in 4 of the state's 3 million citizens in their greatest time of need. According to Mark Allen, the department's CIO, the staff are life changers as they serve on the front lines delivering services. And the systems that support the staff are life critical. However, those systems were built over 25 years ago on mainframe technology. And while they are reliable and stable, processing over $350 million in child support payments and over $1 billion annually in nutritional aid, caseworkers couldn't easily access the latest data, and nor could the technology staff build new innovations. In fact, the department was processing data using overnight batch, which took up to 14 hours to complete a single process. So Mississippi Department of Human Services made the decision to rehost their mainframe. Rehosting rather than replacing these systems seemed responsible and sensible because the core systems were stable. And the department opted to stay with what they had from the back-end perspective to avoid millions of dollars in system replacement costs, and also the added cost of retraining their staff. And since rehosting, access to the data now is instantaneous. Being on an open environment, Mississippi can take advantage of web services and APIs for integration. So rather than waiting overnight, clients now can see immediate results. Bob, would you like to share additional details on Mississippi?
Sure. And you were very generous in your saving millions of dollars. They were looking at really a 9-figure replacement cost for their systems. Their software was severely out of date, unsupported. They were also looking at potential fines from the federal government. And they took that approach you were talking about, start small. While they did rehost, they also had incremental wins that made significant differences, such as managed file transfer. They had data that was flying all over the place in an unaudited, unsecured format. And by consolidating into a single managed file transfer, it made it not only more efficient, but more secure. So it prevented them from, having any data breaches as well. So they are taking that path of incremental wins. They're modernizing their interfaces, providing integration in between disparate systems. So they are well on their way to having a better, more robust system.
Great.
And I think
Thanks,
with
Bob.
that,
yeah.
No problem.
Go ahead, Bob. Take it away.
Thank you. So with that, I am going to talk a little bit about how some of these folks have done this. With that, we want to talk about, you saw that picture from Jackie of the multiple point-to-point, the manual, the redundant interfaces. What a lot of these successful agencies have done have leveraged an enterprise service bus. What they've done is they've taken those back-end systems and opened those systems up by service enabling the functionality within each of those systems. So that puts that data and those capabilities out there in an easily rebuildable, reusable format to leverage new capabilities, such as with Pennsylvania with the opioid information. My favorite story with them is that the Pennsylvania JNET, when they have someone that is arrested, they actually check an ever-growing number of agencies and data sources to say, hey, should they be notified of this information? For example, if someone is arrested for a DUI, they go and check the state school bus drivers to say, is this person a bus driver? And if they are, then that school district is notified, hey, you want to yank this person off of their route so that you don't have a DUI suspect driving your children around. And again, it was all by leveraging back-end system services to create new functionality, to access new systems, to provide the information in a timely manner to the appropriate people. And this picture looks great. It's wonderful. It shows that you can get the information in the right hands, but you have to look at, well, how do I do that? How do I service enable it? And that's when we talk about integration capabilities and adapters that we have. So there is, as Jackie said, there is existing systems, some of them decades old. There is new capabilities, there's new external systems, there's new external things and new mobile apps and new social media that are eventually going to impact how you deliver services. So what we do is we have connectivity to those apps and to those data sources. We use the concept of an adapter that's wizard driven so that the connection to those back-end systems are easy, quick, and you don't have to necessarily know a lot of information about the back-end underlying technology to be able to connect to it and to leverage it. This also gives you then the flexibility of saying, hey, you know what, I need to have a new customer management system. So I might use a Salesforce or, an MS customer CRM. So it gives you that flexibility of replacing some of the capabilities you have today with newer technology without having to rip and replace everything. It's simply plug out the old technology and plug in the new technology into that service bus. So you'll have the least amount of disruption. And Jackie said you would hear it again, and she was right. We do hear a lot, but I have a mainframe, and you can't easily get to mainframe information. And that is just not the case. A lot of our customers are doing that today. They're doing it at multiple different levels. There are some systems that are truly decades and decades old. And they might not even have the source code for that information anymore for some of their capabilities, or they just don't have the people skills anymore. So what we can do is we can leverage it at the presentation layer and service enable the screens so that you can simulate what an end user might do and provide that out as a service. Or you can leverage the business logic. You can take the programs, whether they be COBOL, whether they be Natural, Assembler, PL1, and extract that information and make that a service-enabled function that you can then plug into the service bus. And of course, we can access any of the mainframe data sources, whether it be DB2, Database, vSAM, ISAM, or any of the other different flavors of mainframe databases that are out there. We can do this quickly and easily in high volumes. And one of the things that's really, I think, important is not only can we reach into the mainframe, but we can reach out from the mainframe too. So you can actually utilize those other capabilities that are external to the mainframe in your mainframe applications. Those small changes can make a big difference. Now, one of the concerns that people have is, well, if I have all this data and I have all these capabilities, I do want to share them out, but how do I know who's using them, how they're using them, and is that data secure? And that's where our API gateway, our API management solution comes in. You can have the management of all the publicly facing or internally facing APIs. You can apply your own policies. You can monitor and analyze what APIs are using. You can do things like versioning. You can have an individual API that delivers different capabilities to different audiences. So if you have something that you want truly public facing, you can reuse a service that may have a lot more information internally, but only provide some of that information out to the public. So it is a way to shorten your development lifecycle. It's a way to ensure safety and security. It's a way to ensure runtime governance and runtime SLAs are met. And in this day and age of hacking and just general internet mischievousness, you can start to do things like throttling so that you don't get denial of service attacks for those APIs. So in summary, we really just wanted to talk about starting small, but to be able to have the ability of your systems to deliver the appropriate data to the appropriate people in real time to help them make better decisions. This plug-and-play concept supports modularity with a hybrid approach that includes both on-prem and cloud. But not only that, the hybrid approach allows your technical developers to build those complex APIs, but it allows your business analyst people to say, hey, what if I connect these services together and create a new capability? So it puts that development capability into the hands of the business analyst. And as new technologies come out, you can plug those in. You know, we didn't hear big data 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Mobile phones have only been around, smartphones have only been around 11 years now. So as those technologies grow, with this capability, you can plug in those new technology. And as we have repeatedly said, we connect easily with legacy systems, including mainframes. And if you take away nothing from today other than one thing, and that's really small steps to incrementally get to where you want to go. A single API can make a huge difference because that single API may provide a single capability that is needed for a citizen. And with that, we do have a call to action. We have done this with a lot of state, a lot of federal agencies, a lot of local agencies. So don't do this alone. We're happy to come and help. We're happy to connect you with people that have done this in their own agencies, people that have already paved that road and learned the hard lessons. Jackie, anything else?
I don't think so, Bob. Thanks so much.
Okay, great. And with that, questions, we'll hand it back to you.
Bob, thanks so much. At this point, I have just one question, and it is as follows. Can we trial this software that you're talking about?
Absolutely, absolutely. If you go to softwareag.com, one of the primary links is free trials and our integration software, as well as a variety of other softwares are out there for you to trial. We have great tutorials that go along with that as well. And again, as Jack and I have said, we're here, we're happy to help. So reach out to us as well.
At that point, since it's not on the screen, do you maybe want to share your email, Bob, for those that are with us today?
Sure, and as me being part of Software AG Government Solutions, it is bob.jeffcott, Jeffcott, at softwareaggov.com. Again, softwareaggov.com.
Perfect. Well then, with that, Jackie and Bob, thank you very much to both of you for a very informative presentation today. Our program has now ended, so enjoy the rest of your day.